Hi, Jeff Rhodes back again with another video. Now the fifth one in this series. And wanted to just let you know I am available for consulting, training, whatever else you need. Come to PlatteCanyon.com and it's got a link to contact me, my email, and so forth. So let's get started. When we left it, it's just uploaded this video yesterday that we've been working on a model-driven app. And let me show it to you where we were, because we want to see what was good and bad about it. So we made a model-driven app based on Dataverse, and the whole concept is training registration. So we had these tables: instructors, which we linked to our contact table; courses is a custom table; attendees we linked to users; and then this course sign up. So it's kind of nice. We could add instructors, we could add courses. You see I put the Power Apps grid view so I could see, like, under the course which people are signed up for it. So that was kind of cool. Same thing here. Attendees basically just has myself in there, but you'll see when we're testing it's got some support users and AI users and things like that. So good enough to test with. And then for the course sign up, that was the one that I didn't have enough ability to do everything I wanted. It's still kind of cool. So I could come in here new and say I can pick today's date. Now I would like that to default to today's date. So you'll see we'll do that in a little bit. I can pick a course. I can pick an attendee. Again, that's where I can add one of these AI builders or that. I've got a quick view form below that when I do that, it shows the user, shows the course over here, the instructor, and so forth. And then if I hit save here, I can get to a timeline and add emails and so forth. So nice model-driven behavior. But what I don't have is I don't have an ability back on courses. Let me go back here. I don't want to save anything right now. I've got a course location and a course capacity. It's kind of off the screen here. But what I'd like to do is when there's a capacity, and I used to do this when I was at the Air Force Academy, did it all in SharePoint and InfoPath, but we'd have, say 30 slots and a bunch of courses they could sign up for, and every time somebody would sign up, then it would take away that slot, so we didn't get too many people, more desks and chairs than what we had. And similarly, there could be a limit on online courses. And then we'll do in a later video, if you present that form to a registree, if you will, they can cancel out of the course, and that'll free up the slot for somebody else. And the other thing we can't prevent in an easy way is duplicate sign up. So somebody forgets they signed up and they sign up twice, and again we're taking up a slot, messes up the roster and so forth. So that's where we are now. I'll leave this in a task, but what we wanted to see is, could we use a Canvas page to take care of that? And go to my previous videos, you see I already did a very similar page for SharePoint. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say app, but then I'm going to say page. And it's kind of like a one screen app here. So that's what we're trying to do. So let that load for a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and just rename the screen right away. I don't like screen one, so I'm just going to say course sign up screen, like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and oh yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah, so now I've done it, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and click this add layout, and I want to pick the same one that I used for my earlier example. So I got to find, oh yeah, it's the table and form, and that gives us our modern controls. I'm going to get rid of these messages here. And before I go too far, I'm going to go ahead and just add data. Now what's nice is it has some of the ones I can search for the rest, but the ones I recognize right out of that screen, I want courses, and I want instructors. Not sure I really need instructors, but I'll go ahead and add it. Only got 4 tables. And then I definitely need course signups. And then I need attendees. Oops, too many. There it was. So very much like you added inside of if you're doing SharePoint or Excel, but you want to just add the Dataverse courses here, or the Dataverse tables. So let's go over here. I'm going to get rid of that screen for a minute so I can make this a little bit bigger. So if you watched my earlier video on the SharePoint, you'll see that I don't really want the table here. Because what I want instead is I really need a gallery for the way that we're going to do it. So I'm going to delete that. That'll cause a bunch of errors, but that's okay. So I'm going to insert a vertical gallery, and I'm going to connect it right now to course signups. I can go back to my properties now for a minute. Let's make that a little smaller. And one thing that's nice is you can go ahead and set the view here. So I'm going to get just the active course signups just in case I disabled anything. I'm going to rename this the course signup gallery. So I'm clear which one I'm referring to. And oh, and I want to change this. I don't want an image. I want this to be, oops. I want title, and subtitle, and I want to just move that up a little bit like that. And I want the subtitle, I just want to move that down. Oops. There we go. And this is where now I need to do some extra stuff here, okay? Because what I want to do, the reason I want a gallery is I want to edit and show the courses rather than just this. The course sign up table is just like a lookup. You know, it's got a lookup to courses and a lookup to attendees, but that's not very useful for viewing it, okay? So I want to go look up courses, and then now it's this a little different than when we did it with SharePoint, because course is in our table, but what we want to do is this item dot course, and notice at first I thought it was that, and let me show you what happens. You'll see that it gets a message, well, and if we say dot, so we'll put what we want to do. We want to say course name here. Oops, not that one, course name. But you'll get this error message. Can't be compared GUID versus record. So this is the GUID, but this is the course, since it's a lookup to the other table, it's actually the whole row. So we just have to say dot course again, like that. And there we go, singing 101, guitar 101. So let's copy all this bit, because we're going to need that. Oops, not sure it copied. Let's try it again. So let's go to the next one. And I want to grab the date. So again, I'm going to say, since it's not obvious what it is, I'm going to say course date. ampersand for our concatenation, I'm going to look that up and say course start date time. There we go. And it gets the particular thing. Looks like it says 2 a.m. So that's a little odd. So we could go change our time zone and stuff. I probably have something odd. I want to take the time here. And then what I want to do for this last one is I want to show the attendee. So it's going to be very similar, but I won't copy it over just because it's a different table, so it doesn't help us that much. So I'm going to say attendee. And again, I want to look up, whoops. And I want to look up attendees. And then we have to remember when I tried .attendee, it doesn't work. It's because we were doing the user table. So even though I renamed the name of the table, I couldn't rename the columns inside. So this is user equals this item dot attendee. Again, that's a record dot user, like that. And then I want to say first name. And I'm going to copy all that business so I don't have to type it again. And we'll say ampersand with the space. And we'll do dot last name, like that. Let's pull that down a little bit. Oops. There we go. And I always like to format text a little bit just so we can see it a little bit better. So you got that there. So we're showing our first name and our last name. So far so good. That looks pretty good. We're going to address these errors, but it's a little bit easier if we go a little bit further inside here. So the other one I don't really need. I don't really want to go ahead and search in this case because it's a little bit involved because we'd be searching the tables that aren't in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that search out of that. So we're just going to see them all here and we can scroll them and so forth. All right, so let's go look at our form over here. And I want to rename that form. Let me find it on the left side over here. There we go. And I'm just going to call it the course sign up form. There we go. And what we're going to do is, you can see it wants us to be table. We're just going to say this course signups, like that. And again, I could pick the view, so I'll just leave it as none, but I could pick them if I wanted to. Since I'm selecting it from over here, it really doesn't matter. And what I want to do is get these in the right order that I want. So I'm going to add fields. So I'm going to just go ahead and, all right, so we'll add them in order. I want the course, then I want the attendee, and then I want the sign up date, sign up notes, and then I want the number. And we can go through and look at the types here. The main thing we want to look is we don't want them to be able to change the sign-up number, but it's smart enough to know that it's just viewable. It's not an editable thing for that, so that's good. So put that inside here for us. Now we're going to edit that sign-up date in a second too, but the rest of these we're going to look. Now one really nice thing, you might remember in the SharePoint video, we had to do some gyrations and unlock it and mess with it, drag in a drop-down list to get the attendee and the course. And luckily with the Dataverse, we don't have that problem. Okay, so that's pretty nice. All right, so let's look at that sign-up date though, because I've selected the card there. And what we want to do is we really only, if it's a new record, we want to default to the current date so they don't have to put that in there. Now, one thing I looked is no easy way to change that without putting in new controls to get rid of this time part. So I'm just going to leave it. It doesn't really matter the time here. But what we have to do, we want to change the default here. But you'll see I can't edit that. If I just did backspace, it won't do anything because it's locked. So in this case, we're going to unlock it. And then I'll copy and paste it, just so you don't have to watch me type. So it's going to say if we're in the new mode, we're going to put the now in there. Otherwise, we're going to put this item sign up date. So we still could edit it, but we don't have to type it in. So that's kind of nice so far. Let's go ahead and play. Let's save for a minute. So we're going to call this sign up page, signups page, like that. Let's save it. And let's see if we can get anything to work yet. So nothing quite yet. So we'll have to get rid of some of those. Oh, that's one thing, because I didn't put anything on the gallery yet. So there's some code that comes across, but we lost that in the table, so we have to recreate that in the gallery. So let's find that. We put the filters, but we need to go on select, and I'll paste that in. See if we can pull that down a little bit. There we go. So we're updating a context variable, and we got a few of them. We got item selected, new mode, current item, and that's our selected out of our gallery. So let's try it again. There, so we're getting some amount of stuff there. It's not, oh, I'm probably a little, let's zoom out a little bit, because this is, whoops, I hit the wrong button there. All right, so let's try it again. See if I can zoom out. Not yet, so it's coming up and down, but we'll play with that in a minute. But it looks like I'm able to just switch between the two courses so far. So that gets us going. So let's go ahead and start taking care of some of the errors, because I like to get everything working before we try to add the new functionality. So let's go look at this one. Yeah, and a lot of these are the same. So we've got this, the default has this first table ones, that selected out item. So all of these are going to be course selection or course sign up gallery dot selected. So let me put that in the clipboard, because we're going to be replacing that a fair amount. Come down here and get this one. Same kind of thing. Move that up a little bit. Yep, same thing. Got the selected record. And same thing here. There we go. We can check. Let's have the one. Oh yeah, because we have this on delete code that we haven't, it's not on the screen yet. And this problem really here is the selected, it's this table. So we're going to say course signups is what going to be all the things we're going to do. And this is code after you are checking if you can delete a record. And this is going to be first there. All right, so I don't think we have anything else in formulas. Still got lots of work to do, but let's see if we can go ahead and make an edit. Oh, it's funny that I have, oh, I see, I've got to see if I can go to tablet. No. Let me just zoom out of my browser here a little bit. Hard in Power Apps to get the whole thing to zoom. All right, let's try that. Let's see what. Yeah, there we go. That's how I was looking for it to go left to right. So let's go ahead and edit. So a couple things. So notice, as I mentioned, see how I get the drop downs on the attendees and on the courses. I get some things here. My one is not editable, my course number, sign up number. I could edit the date, and we'll see when I do a new record. We'll test that out. So let's just say video edit here on the notes and see if it saves for us. All right, that's good. Let's try to do a new record. And I'm just going to do, looks like the guitar one has quite a bit, because I don't want to put, we haven't put in our logic yet to check if it's in capacity and all that. So right now we're just basically like we were before. So I'm going to just scroll down. Let's see if I can find some sort of user that looks interesting. I'll just make it the Power Apps checker application. And I'll say test record here. And notice it did put today's date in. This is the right date. Time is correct and everything. So let's submit that. And notice it added over here. So far so good. So let's jump in and now start working on it as far as the get our extra logic in there. Okay, so we're gonna need that form, but I'll collapse that for a minute. Okay, so I got my container here. And what I want to first do is I've got some columns that I want to put in, or some stuff I want to put inside this button container number 1. And you may remember we did this same thing on the SharePoint version of our app. But what we're going to want to do is put a couple containers in there. So I'll just like type in container, then I can get the right kind. I want a horizontal container. And I want this to be called the number of attendees container. And what we want to do is we're going to move that to the top. Another thing we like to do is we don't, oops, I don't want this part anymore, but I want the properties. All these containers have this drop shadow, which for this case I don't want. So I come over to drop shadow and say none here. And then what I want is just 2 text boxes in there. So first one, I just want to say in there number of attendees, like that. And I want that to be like 160 width, so it doesn't, oh, I forgot to put the quotes in there. But notice how it wants to wrap there, so I want to put that in as 160. Again, make that bigger so you can see a little bit. And then I need another one. put it here. And we're going to call that the number of attendees box. And here, this is one place that we're easier in because we're using Dataverse. But let's first get the settings on that. So I want that to be width of 50 is all I need because I just need a number in there. And I just want that to be bold so we can see it a little better. There we go. And then what I want here is, before I had to use a gallery just kind of as a workaround to get the number of attendees. But here I can go ahead and filter directly without any kind of delegation problem. So I'm going to filter course signups. And I want the course, remember it's course.course because it's that first one is the table and then the column equals, and then I need to go look at my sign up form because I don't want to unlock those. So I go to this form, scroll down here a little bit so I can just make that a little bit wider. Or actually I can probably do it that way. I got to see the name of it. So see how it's data card 1. And then I'm going to need the same thing for attendee in a minute. So I need data card value 2. So that's the part that I need. So I'll come in here and so I want to say equals data card value 1 dot selected dot course. So that's a filter. You'll see it's a type table right here. But what I want to do is know how many are already signed up for this course. So this is our count rows. And that's the part that usually gives the delegation. That's why we had to do the attendee or do the gallery. But this time, see, it says number of attendees is 0. But let's play for a minute. See if that works. So I've got number of attendees 2, which makes sense for the guitar one, and number of attendees is 1 for the singing one. So that's working how we want. So that's great. And then what we have to, we'll come back and do the visible in a minute. That gets a little bit more complex. So let's add another container. So we want another horizontal container, and we're going to call that slots available container. And again, we don't want the drop shadow on there. Let me make sure I turned it off on the other one. Yeah, I did. Okay. And then we want that. We're going to kind of move left and move left because we want it right to the right of the other one. And we want to insert text. We'll just say slots available. Oops. Hope if I could spell. And again, we'll do that as 150. And I could have just copied that whole container and done it that way too, but this is fine. And this one's is slots available box. And so what we want here is how many based on the capacity. So we need to go look up what the capacity is first. So let me go copy and paste it. You don't have to watch me. Actually, I'll do the first part because I want you to see that. So we want, again, very much like we did before, we're going to look up and we're going to go to the courses, and we're going to find which course we're on. So we'll say course equals, remember that data card value 1, which is the card for the course. So we're saying selected dot course. So that gives us the row, and then we need the course capacity. So that would tell us the capacity, but what we want is the slots available. So we're going to subtract, and then we need that number of attendees. What do we call it? The number of attendees box. But we need to tell Power Apps that we're using it as a number. So we say the value, and we say number of attendees box dot text. Oh, and it's funny, it didn't grab that capacity I expected. There we go. Should get rid of that error. Yeah, and you can see it's 0. I want that to be bold as well. And then let's copy this part. So I'm going to use this capacity. Actually, I'm going to copy the whole thing, because the other thing is kind of showing off a little bit, but if we're going to go the trouble, might as well make it cool. So we want to show them if it's getting low, and if it's 0, we want it to be red. So we can go to font color here, and we just use the if. So we say if, and then we just paste that in. So if that is less than or equal to 0, then we say color dot red. And then this is the whole else. And then what we want to do there is do a little bit of math. So I'm just going to paste that in. Again, so I'll say if. So I've got that part. If the value, if that whole thing, but we want to divide that by the capacity. Okay, so I'll get rid of this part. I'll show it a little bit better in a second. So if that is less than or equal 0.2, say 20%, then we'll say color.orange. And then finally else, color.green. And then we have a couple parentheses. So we can format that. It makes it a little bit easier to see. So let's go over that again. So we got the if, this whole bit is how many slots are available. If it's less than 0, we turn everything red. And then we do, this is the amount available divided by the capacity. And if that's less than 20%, we make it orange. And if it's greater than 20%, then it's going to be green. So let's go check that out and see how it works. So let's click on it. And so that's, you can see it's 0 here and it's red. And then 1, I guess because I only have a capacity very low, so half of them is green still, because it's only 2, I think, on this example, but you know, so I don't have a way to show you the orange, but if we had more attendees there, or must actually have a third, must have a capacity of 3 there because it's got 2 attendees and 1 still available. So, all right, so far so good. So the other complex things about this, and we do this at the container level, is the visible. So let's go into that because we got to show these at the right time. You know, we particularly don't want to mess with the, and actually the first one we want is a visible is fine. It's the slots available is one that comes in. So let me pause here and I'll come right back to it. Yeah, and I had that wrong. I thought I was getting myself confused because in this one we want to just keep those available all the time so that we can see them. It's the messages to say you don't have any more slots or you've already registered that are going to come in next. So let's do that part and then we'll almost done. But I know it's been a while, but like I said, this is some kind of tricky logic here. So what we want to do is come back up to the parent container. So let me just collapse these ones. So we got the form and we got the button container like that. So I'm going to, whoops. Yeah, I want to go right there. And I want another vertical. I'm just going to say container. And I'll do a vertical container. And I'm going to call that the message container. And I'm going to move that up 1. And then what we want to do is look at this fill portions here because it's all being responsive and everything. So let's try like 0.2. Yeah, and then it just gives us a spot for it because all we really need is we just need 2 text boxes in here. So we want to go ahead and insert text. And we're going to call that no capacity box. And what our text, I'll just copy it in. There are no slots available. Please try another course. And we're going to fill the width with that. And we're going to make it bold. And we're going to make it red. So let's make it like that dark red. And then we're going to have another. Actually, I'll just copy that one. And we'll call this, oops, thought I pasted already. Oh, it didn't. And I'll rename that and call it already registered box. And you can guess from the name when we copy and paste. You've already registered for this course. And I'm going to just make that, that's not that bad, so I'm going to make it more of a blue kind of deal. Oops. Excellent. All right, so let's look at the visible, which is really the key to this, is showing the message at the right time. So let's go over to the visible on the already registered, and we get rid of the true. And what we want to do is we're really just trying to say, okay, has this person already registered in this case? Okay, so what we want to do is first we want to figure out by looking at the table if the user is already there. So remember how we did the count rows? We're going to do it again. But I'll start from the filter in the beginning. So we're going to filter, and we're going to look at that course signups. And we're going to look for the course equals, remember that's data card value 1 dot selected dot course. And we're going to do a second filter because we want to look for the attendee. So same thing, attendee dot user equals data card value 2 dot selected dot user. So that's going to give us a table, and then we're going to come to the beginning and say count rows. And again, this is the one that would give us a delegation error if we were SharePoint or Excel, but we can do that with Dataverse. So if that's greater than 0, so we have more things because we have a little bit of extra logic that we want, but let's just put that down and do it. So that's, let's scroll up a little bit so we can see the count rows. There we go. So that will tell us to only show it if the user's already signed up. Okay, but we have a little bit more logic because we don't want some weird stuff. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in, and I'll pardon me, show it to you. Let's see if I can format that a little bit more. Okay, so we want to come in and say, okay, we either want it to be in the new form. So when they say new, because if they're just showing it already, we don't need to really show that message that they're already registered, because they're not trying to register again, basically. But if they're in new, or if they're in edit and there is a selected course already, there is a selected user, and the selected user is different than the current item, which is the one that's in the record already. So that's, again, a little bit complicated, but that gives us all the things on whether they're trouble pulling that up for whatever reason. So let's go look at the no capacity box, and then we'll go ahead and test it. So that one's visible is not very similar, but same kind of thing. So what we're doing there is we can take advantage that we have that slots available box already. So the first thing we want to know is that less than or equal to 0. Because if it's not less than or equal to 0, then people can register. We're not going to say there's no slots available. But again, we don't want to show it until they try to do something. So again, we're looking for the mode to be new, and again that they've selected something, selected one of the courses, or that they're in editing, and again the selected user is not the same as the existing users, because no sense saying no slots available if it's showing them somebody who's already registered. Notice when I did that in the designer here that both of those messages have gone away, but that's not enough to test it. So let's go ahead and check it out. So again, if we click, that's what we'd expect. Notice it flashes for a little bit because I guess we could have saved it and published it and all that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and let's do the singing one. And if we go to edit, then there's no slots available. But if I try to change it to a different user, then it should say there are no slots available, please try another course. And by the way, we're going to disable that submit button, but we haven't gotten to that, so we'll do next. But we can cancel out of that. Let's go over to the guitar one and edit it. And again, what should happen if I try to change it to this Power Apps user? Let's see if we can find that Power Apps user, it should say I'm already registered. Should have found an easier one to find. Power Apps doesn't have a search either. Whenever I think about that, I had to find all these. Oh, there it is. Power. I saw it. It went by. Let me pause for a minute and I'll find it. And I've learned something new. I can search on there. So I just have to say Power Apps Apps Checker. So there we go. And it says this attendee is already registered for this course. So that's exactly what we want. So it looks like everything's good. So let's go over to the submit button, because what we want to do for the submit button is disable that if they're not in a position to save. And so what we want to do is go to the display mode button or display mode property of that. So we come, where's the display mode? I must not have selected that. Let's try it again. There we go. You can see it's edit, but we can paste it in because we're basically going to look for either one of those boxes. If the no capacity box is visible or the already registered box is visible, we make it disabled. Otherwise, we make it editable. So now if we come in there again, and we've kind of left it in that mode, so let's come over here so everything's editable. But we come over here, let's go to the guitar one, try to edit it, and change it to the Power Apps. Now it shows that box. Submit button's disabled, so I can't do anything except for cancel or change the attendee. Well, we didn't try. Let's try a new one. I'll try to do Singing 101. And again, I haven't even picked an attendee that says there's no slots available. Please try another course, and that's consistent with this 0 down there. All right, so that's pretty much the whole application. So let's go ahead and publish that. And I'm not going to worry about the icon. It doesn't really matter that much because we're going to embed it inside the application, or the model-driven application that we already had. All right, so let's back out of that. And now we go to our app, the training registrations app, the one we looked at the very beginning. And what we want to do is add page, and we want to add custom page here. And that was the one I was practicing with. This is the sign up page we just built. We're going to add it to the navigation. Oh, it looked like I needed to republish the, oh no, it's there. I guess it's telling me afterwards. I'm going to move that up. I can change the icon as well. Let's see if I can add the same one, because eventually we'll get rid of the course signups view. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So I'd give it the same icon. I don't remember where that was, but well, close enough, doesn't really matter. I'll just add this one for now. Kind of similar to the one we did. And we're going to go ahead and save. Save and publish. And go back there. So let's go ahead and run it. Oh, it didn't take yet. Let's try it again. Actually, let's publish all customizations too. It's like it didn't quite take it yet. All right, so that's done. Let's try it again. Ah, there we go. So we've got that same thing, but now I've got the signups page right inside my app. I've got that same functionality. And if I reduce the screen resolution, I'd get, get it side by side like we had earlier. If I wanted to come in here and edit it, I could do that and maybe put video edit 2, submit, and come back to attendees and so forth. And then the idea would be that we could just either remove that course signups completely or maybe make that only for like admin users and so forth. So let's end this video. I know it's been a little while already, but let's go back and just talk about the users to assign them and so forth. And Lisa's video does a really great job of that, so definitely go look that one. No, for Lisa Crosby that I told you about, but we come over to admin. And we want all the admin centers, and we'll go to the Power Platform. Go to that environment. Remember, we made this registration video environment. And if we go to users, oh, I actually want the roles first, sorry. Go back. Want the video role or the roles. And you've got a basic users. We're going to edit. Oh, and I want to edit this as a new name. I need to remember how to do that. Let's try it again. Oh, let's copy it. There we go. And we'll call it training basic role. You can see I've done this before. See if we can find that one. There it is. And then what we can do is edit the permissions for that user. So we can come into the different tables like who can create an attendee, and let's find the courses. Oh yeah, here I can do it here. Huh. Show all tables. There we go. There we go. So we can come in and edit this for the user so they could go in and they can read. They could, maybe I'll let these users create, write, maybe not delete, and so forth, but very explicitly that for this purpose, it's this course sign up one. So if these are going to be my main users, I've got no rights to this table at all, which means when they ran the application, they wouldn't see that link, and the only thing they'd see as far as assigning users would be my Canvas page. So, all right, well, kind of a long one. We learned some stuff together. I hope this was helpful, and we will be back soon, and we'll have maybe a special user-only registration for these using these same Dataverse tables. Until then, I will see you soon. Be sure to subscribe. Let me know if you need some consulting or some training, and we'll talk to you soon.